There's a new street fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is chill.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's most galactic action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Guys, you can see the purple light behind me. We're gonna talk about Galactus, because I thought to myself, you know what, Dave? One thing YouTube doesn't have enough of is people making videos about Galactus. I know, where are they? There's just a dearth. Oh wait, I had my no Galactus filter on. Let me just change that. Oh, there they are. There's thousands of them. So let's add another one. So I am going to look at what has Galactus taught us? What has the Haslab initiative taught us? Because folks, we got some lessons to learn, and here they are. First up, number one. The biggest lesson is Hasbro know what they're doing. Despite all the rumbling and grumbling and fumbling, Hasbro have this on lock. I was one of the many people adding their voices to the choir of, this is not a good way to go about it. Hasbro are fostering bad will. They're not telling the customers enough. We still haven't got the... Dave, shh. Stop talking. You're wrong. Hasbro have got this. And the problem is, now, I think they know it. So there's always a chance they could become a cocky cock and be like, we can get away with anything, we can sell anything because this went through the roof. But in fairness, until they prove otherwise, we need to trust that Hasbro seem to know exactly what they're doing. The second point is that an early bird incentive might be helpful to get those initial pre-orders up, but boy, it is clearly not needed. That was my first main bone of contention when I was putting together a humble little video saying, what Hasbro have got wrong? That was where I was saying if they had done an early bird incentive, they would have had a lot more goodwill and people getting excited about the project. Turns out, doesn't matter. They still smashed all their tiers. So clearly, for the WWF or WWE Raw set ring that Mattel did for their Kickstarter, that early bird incentive was really useful for them because they needed the extra push. But I'm sure that when Hasbro saw them doing it, they were like, just cool hand Luke. They said, you know what, guys? You do that. We got this. Check us on the last day. A happy one to learn is that deluxe size figures can actually be tiers as well. That's kind of cool. And okay, anything can be tiers, but you don't know until we eventually hit them. Some tiers are good, some tiers are bad, but we could get a deluxe figure. Korg. Korg looks like a chunky boy. We don't know, we've only seen the preview pictures, but he don't look like no ham and egger. He's not a small little figure. He's not even like one of these ones we try to convince is okay, like Dormammu or Ultron, where it's like, well, it's kind of big. I guess it's a bigger figure. Nah, he looks proper, like he's beefed. So it's nice to know that if we pay into those tiers, we might get some pretty good figures out of it. Here's one with me just being a cynical, sarcastic little monkey, but hopefully you bear with me. When Hasbro do interviews, they will never say anything particularly interesting. And that's not just because I wasn't asked if I wanted to do an interview, because quite frankly, I would have said no, but I appreciate being asked. Nah, I'm kidding. But really, I watched a couple of interviews and then I was like, I don't need to see any more of these because, in fairness to them, they're not going to say anything that is outside of any official press releases, because that's the whole point. They're doing the interviews to drum up interest, and some people might say, oh yeah, well they did say this because they hinted that. It's a hint. Doesn't mean nothing. Alright? If someone can hint at anything, someone can say, oh, well, this next tier coming out is Jeremy's new favorite thing. It's like, nothing. That doesn't do anything, alright? So I'm saying when they're doing the interviews, I'm gonna sit back and go, okay, if anything interesting is gonna happen, it will be in the form of an official press release. I'm gonna save myself the time from watching the promotional interviews, because you ain't gonna learn much. The next point we've learned is that when they're doing the interview tour, every man and his dog will get an interview, except for the third fastest growing action figure channel on YouTube. Not that I'm bothered about it. I really don't care. Not at all. Just doesn't bother me. Not bothered. Yeah, and also that sensational Spider-Man figure, I didn't want to be the guy to reveal it either. Nah, Jay Hernandez can have his black costume Spider-Man. That's fine. Even though I talk about Ben Reilly and sensational Spider-Man and the Clone Saga every single episode on this channel, they don't have to give me that one to reveal. Nah, not important. Not important in the slightest. What I want you to know, though, is that I don't care. That's just that's the takeaway I want you to know, is that I don't care. Doesn't bother me. It's just that I just would have liked to have been asked. It's like, I'm not hard to get hold of. It's just, I've got my Instagram and my Facebook. Like, they could have messaged me if they wanted to, but it's lucky I don't care. I'm not bothered. One thing that they do like to hint at is that the final tier will be the best one. Now, I know this is kind of nebulous in terms, and they didn't say officially the last tier will be the best, but they'll kind of give like a little hint like, you want to make those pre-orders go higher, because trust me, if we get that last tier, what's it gonna be? And the next lesson is, the final tier is never the best. So with Galactus, we got the Doom Head, which is a quirky little paperweight type thing, but I think it's going to be just sat in a lot of people's boxes. And what was the last one for the Sentinel? Was it the Tri-Sentinel head? I forget, but either way, the final tier is normally the tier of, we don't know if it's going to get this far, so let's not put too much money into this. But still, I'm not going to complain. It's more stuff. It's more bang for our buck, so I'll happily take it. But at the same time, actually, if there was a box to tick where I could say, you know what? I want to look out for the environment. I want to save the plastic. Just don't bother putting the head in. Yeah, I would tick that. A huge one is that the number of backers is likely to double in the last couple of days. That's the big one that we have all seen. Oh my goodness. Where did all those buyers suddenly come from? Well, they came from the people who were quietly sat back watching going, no, I'll pay all in good time. There was me on opening day like, take my money. And then some sensible people were just thinking, no, I'm just going to sit back, watch how it grows, watch the tiers, assess the value for money, and then make a decision. I have no time for those people. And while the backers are all quite slow to jump on board and things are crawling along in the middle section, people will be asking, maybe this won't even get made. And what's ultimately revealed at the end is that yes, it will definitely get made. I think unless Hasbro set their sights way too high, yeah, I think most Haslab projects are gonna get funded. We're just nuts for these things. Loads of people will jump on the bandwagon to say, this is just corporate greed. And is it corporate greed? I think that's a whole video in and of itself, but it's a corporation trying to make money. That's what we do. That's what corporations do. Money makes the world go round. That's just how it works. We wouldn't get a Galactus if there wasn't a company that was making money out of it. These aren't philanthropists, folks. But at the same time, sometimes it does feel a little bit money grubby when they're like, go out, pre-order it, tell everyone, do this, do that. It does feel a bit. And then you think about, shipping costs, this and that, price of plastic, blah, blah, blah. Thing is, we don't know. Maybe there's someone more educated than me out there. I think that's a safe bet. But generally, we don't see Hasbro's profit and loss records. We don't know what they're making on each Sentinel. We can't tell. But either way, people will assume and cry foul. It's clearly corporate greed. Oh, I spat a bit. Speaking of complaining, people will claim that loads of people are scalping and they're scalpers and they're buying all the Galacti, that's the correct word, look it up, so that they can sell them on for massive profits, and that's what scalping is. And of course, we all just roll our eyes so hard that our heads almost fall off, because that's not what scalping is. You can't scalp a Kickstarter. That's not how it works. The whole point of a Kickstarter is that they will make as many as they order. So if you order 10 of them and then keep one and sell 9 on afterwards, that's not scalping. Because those other 9 ones wouldn't have been made unless you paid for them in the first place. That's why, am I getting through to you at all? What's that from? That's from a movie. The fictional characters. Am I getting through to you at all? Tell me in the comments what that quote's from. I feel like better. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That's what that's from. These are fictional characters. Fictional characters. Go and watch Jay and Silent Bob. It's a great movie. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, scalping. It's not scalping. Okay, an actual decent analytical point here. Hasbro do not know how to market outside of their core audience. That seems to be a big one. All of the promotion is geared towards people who already seem to be on board. If you are not deeply entrenched in the toy industry, you really don't know anything about this. I mean, where was this advertised or promoted outside of our Facebook groups or different YouTube creators? You know, places like Comic Book Resources, maybe IGN had articles, but really, even in their interviews, the Hasbro team are being interviewed by people in the industry, and they're speaking in terms and ways and phrases that only make sense to people who already know. They got a big boost when the New York Times, I think, did an article on toy Kickstarters or action figure Kickstarters in general, and that wasn't just on Hasbro, that was on Mattel and all other dream projects. So that was the only piece of marketing that I saw that actually went out and was addressed to the general public. Because I missed out on Unicron, because I was kind of new to action figures and I just didn't know anything about it, and by the time I did, it was too late. So that's something that Hasbro might want to learn themselves, is that if you want to conjure up a good market, then maybe you need to cast a wider net. Continuing on from that previous point, a lot of folks don't know how tiers work. That was one of the main questions that I was asked when I made videos about this, and Lord help you if you're asking me for information. You must be scraping the bottom of the barrel. But a lot of people were saying, oh, can I just buy Korg separately, or can I just buy the Silver Surfer separately, or if the backers don't make this certain number, will nothing be made, or will just something be... It's not that obvious. Again, it goes back to the assumed knowledge. So I think a better, more inclusive campaign for people who aren't that familiar, kind of like a beginner's guide, would probably be very, very helpful. One that's definitely been proven is that the Hasbro team do not like to show tiers early, almost like they're slightly underprepared. That was a funny thing. It felt like a lot of people were hesitant to part with their money because they didn't know what they were getting for their money, and Hasbro were like, nah-uh-uh, they're not going to show you the tiers until it's like right on the cusp, right on the lid of getting the tier. Then they'll show you. And it's like, come on guys, a little more transparency would probably go a big way towards getting more people excited. A big one now is the markup for international orders is steep. And this kind of sucks, to be honest, and this could be a video all on its own, but I won't, because even I'm sick of Galactus videos, but here we are. But oh my goodness, the markup for just the UK is really egregious. The fact that we pay the same in pounds as America does in dollars, and then other companies have different fees as well, it's not on, to be honest, because it's all well and good for them to say, well, hey, we got to pay the extra shipping. Guys, you're shipping it from Hong Kong to America in the first place, or wherever it's made. I think it's made in Hong Kong, but nonetheless, you're shipping it from there to there. So surely if you wanted to maybe give us a slightly better deal, you could ship it from there to there and from there to there, rather than from there to there to there. You're adding on more cost, guys. So the excuse that, oh, we have to charge more for this shipping, you know what? This guy right here called me an old cynic, but nah, I don't buy it. And I buy a lot. Another thing we've learned, including from Unicron and from Jabba's Sail Barge and all the other ones, is that, oh boy, the market for big figures is huge. People seem to have a lot of space. I don't have a lot of space, and I'm ordering them too. So clearly there is a big audience here who want this. So we are not going to see the end of this anytime soon, I don't think. This was a big success. People want big figures. That's what we're willing to throw our money at. So you can see a lot more oversized figures in the future. And one thing that spawned a whole bunch of videos, including mine, is that the middle of a campaign is really slow. Oh my goodness, that thing just dragged, didn't it? So that's why we were saying, oh, they should have done an early bird. They should have done something to get those, pre-orders up. Because, yeah, those middle 2 weeks where it was just ticking along so slowly, that's when people were asking, is it even going to get made? Or they were saying, well, this will teach them for their corporate greed. It just doesn't shift much. It's like me watching my subscriber count. Eventually I'm like, wait, did that just go down? But what? Come on! I'm sure Hasbro weren't, though. They were like, don't worry, just wait till the last weekend. And they were right, but my goodness, yeah, that thing drags in the middle. Something that Hasbro might want to take into account is that announcing a new Haslab before you even release the previous Haslab is not a great look. That was something that was not filling people with a lot of confidence. And now that we have Sentinel Negate, that's kind of sucky that only after the funding window for Galactus has closed and all the money has been taken that finally people start to receive their Sentinels. And that leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth when instantly there are issues with the Sentinel. Maybe issues that might make people second guess having gone for Galactus. Because yes, we've got the knee itch situation where you need to get in there and tighten it with a screw on some of them because there are no ratchets in the knees, and it's like, oh, we've paid this premium price and now we're getting something that needs tinkering with? The whole reason I buy action figures and not model kits is because curse these metal hands. All they can do is destroy. I can't create. I'm not good with finicky things. If you just say, oh, it's easy, just pop the top off and tighten it up. No, I will destroy it. I don't know how, but I will. So yeah, that kind of sucks. And the fact that we couldn't see that until after they'd taken our money, the optics on that Hasbro, they're not good. A fun one that we've discovered is that people will complain about everything at every stage. And occasionally, I'm one of them. Folks will be like, oh my god, I'd pay anything to get a Galactus figure that's bigger than the Sentinel, but with the same amount of detailing, paint apps, and light up features. And then they do that, and the person's like, ugh, not at that price. So yeah, goes to show you can't please all the people all the time. You can sometimes not even please some of the people some of the time. And no matter how many people you please, there's always going to be some schmuck on YouTube telling you how you could have done it better. Hasbro are always learning and trying new things and experimenting with different ways and strategies and ideas, because the thing is, this kind of crowdfunding is still a relatively new thing. We're still dipping our toes in the water and learning the best ways of doing this. So you can expect Haslab projects to maybe change forms and styles as the years and the projects and campaigns go on. Although also don't expect them to change too much, because right now, Hasbro are probably a bit too busy counting all their money. A cheeky little one that we just learned is that, as I mentioned before, stretch goals don't necessarily get better the further on you go. We got Silver Surfer. No, what was the first one we got? We got Nova first. She looked great. That was one of the best ones. Then we got Silver Surfer, which kind of went down. Then we got Korg, which went way up. And then we got the Doomhead, which was like, huh? So there doesn't seem to be any consistency in the level of how good the tiers are. So I guess the moral is, just keep buying more. A fairly reassuring lesson to learn, hopefully, is that if you miss out on the initial backing period, there will be a lot for sale when the project is finally released. Because people aren't stupid, and we're very opportunistic. Opportunistic is the word I was my lips were trying to say, my brain was like, no, Dave, there's no such word as opportunistic. Opportunistic. So, loads of people bought loads of figures to sell on afterwards, which ain't scalping, and it is convenient for people who maybe can't afford it at the time. Are they going to be way overpriced and marked up? Of course they are. That's why the person invested all that money initially. You're not going to spend an extra $400 so that you can make 50 in a year's time. That's poor investments right there. So I don't begrudge anyone selling on their Haslab figures for stupid money, because quite frankly, that's the name of the game, and by playing that game early, all they're doing is putting out more figures into the market and giving more people a chance. Will they take as much money as they can? Yeah, they can. That's their prerogative. You know what? This ain't a charity, alright? This is the real world, Jack. This is how things work. Go get that money. And the final thing that we learned from this campaign is that November 2022 is a long way away. I know I was thinking that last year with the Sentinel, and here we are, but still, it's going to be a while before we see this Galactus. And the question now is, what else are they going to announce before then? Hopefully we're going to get some more things to be excited about, because I'm still riding on the crest of a wave of excitement for my cosmic collection and the way that things are building and growing. it's a good time to be a fan. It's a good time to be a collector. And guys, that does it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this retrospective of what Galactus taught us and where we're going in the future. Have you pre-ordered a Galactus? Are you not that bothered? Are you going to pick one up on the second-hand market? Comment below, let me know. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then join the 6-1 clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And if you want to go one step beyond on supporting the channel, kind of garble my words there, you can go to patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Throw a few shekels my way, helps keep the lights on. I was trying so hard at the start of this video to speak more slowly because someone did ask me recently, they said, Dave, I've got 3 questions. Are you on drugs? What drugs are they? And can I have some, please? And the answer is no, and of course not. If I had drugs, I wouldn't give them to you. No, I'm trying desperately to slow down my cadence and be more relaxed and chill, but as soon as I start talking, then I get excited and I get motor-mouthed, and here we are. So if you do find that in future videos I'm kind of slowing down and relaxing a little bit, then maybe that means that my brain is finally getting the message. But in the meantime, it's going to be all motor mouth all the time, and I hope you enjoy it. So guys, thanks very much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior. Something that Hasbro might want to take into account is that announcing a new Speaking of complaining, people will claim that loads of people are scalping and they're scalpers and they're buying all the Galactus.
Cuppa coffee, big time